During Captain George Vancouver's 2-month exploration of Puget Sound in spring 1792, he dispatched crews in longboats to chart and map the sound and pursue the termination of every branch, no matter how small it might appear. On the evening of May 22, a crew under the leadership of Lieutenant Peter Puget was camped on the beach near present-day Steilacoom when a contingent of 30 or more natives approached in 6 dugout canoes. By now, 3 weeks into their exploration, the British had accepted the constant presence of curious native peoples. But this visit felt different. There were no women and children among them, and the men were armed with bows. Alarmed, Puget's men grabbed their muskets and darted for cover behind trees. One of the British, likely Puget, stepped forward, drew a line in the sand, and thrust out his hands, signaling the natives to stop. They hesitated and appeared briefly to argue among themselves before returning to their canoes. A peaceful end to a potentially fatal incident. On January 2, 2016, 2¼ centuries after Vancouver's expedition, another incident did not end so amicably. Angered over the way in which the federal government controlled Western lands, 24 armed ranchers and anti-government protesters occupied the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in eastern Oregon. The standoff ended 41 days later, with 25 arrests and the death of one militant, Lavoy Finicum, a 55-year-old Arizona cattle rancher. Finicum, who had acted as spokesman for the militants throughout the occupation, was shot by police during a roadside incident outside the wildlife refuge. So goes the history of the Pacific Northwest, from Puget drawing a simple line in the sand to more complex lines drawn by federal regulation. The region offers a rich history of people contesting boundaries set down by others. Boundaries came in all sizes and shapes. International, territorial, and state boundaries gave the region shape, but with only minimal intrusion on people's daily lives. Others were writ in code and proved more intrusive. Indian reservations, racial exclusion laws, bans on women voting, and wartime internment restricted people's freedom and access to society. Others still were abstruse, persistent, and harder to contest. Cultural dominance, racism, class conflict, and homophobia, all variations on that line in the sand.